The Oxford Dictionary defines the term derby as a sporting match between two rival teams from the same area. But when two rival teams haven't played each other competitively for over 7 years, there's bound to be that little bit of extra spice. One of England's fiercest derbies is Southampton versus Portsmouth, with the two clubs' home grounds just 20 miles apart. But with contrasting fortunes over the last decade, they haven't played each other competitively in over 7 years. On 7th April 2012, Southampton and Portsmouth met at St Mary's in the Championship, both with very different targets. The Saints were sitting at the summit of the table and were favourites for promotion to the Premier League, whereas Pompey were 5 points from safety and looked almost certain to be relegated to League One. On the day though, little separated the sides as the Saints took the lead twice thanks to Billy Sharp, but it was the blue side of Hampshire that came home the happier as David Norris's late strike earned Pompey a point. Fast forward 7 years, 89 months, 2,762 days as Southampton and Portsmouth will once again meet in competitive action as Southampton travel to Fratton Park on the 24th of September in the Carabao Cup third round. They say a week in football is a long time, so 389 weeks must be an eon. Both clubs have had a lot of significant events happen in that time frame, but the contrast between two couldn't be any more different. Pompey suffered from prolonged financial trouble that saw them relegated all the way down to League Two, having to play teenagers whilst going on a 23-game winning streak in League One, put the club at its lowest point as the FA Cup winners of 2008 spent 5 years at the foot of the Football League. But there was eventually some light as they were promoted from League Two as champions in 2017 and reached the League One playoffs last season, either side of ex-Disney CEO Michael Eisner's bid to take over the club. As for Southampton, their ventures couldn't be much more contrasting, now in their 8th consecutive season in the Premier League. A few weeks after the Pompey draw, Southampton secured promotion back to the Premier League and haven't looked back since. Now in their 8th consecutive season back in the top flight, they've enjoyed incredible achievements. 4 consecutive top flight finishes, being managed by some of Europe's elite coaches and being represented by some of Europe's now elite players. As well as this, 2 campaigns in Europe, an EFL Cup final, a FA Cup semi-final. Of course, in the recent years, relegation has looked an imminent possibility, but a certain Austrian has injected life back into this football club and hope is amongst the fans once again. Having met 70 times in competitive action since the turn of the 20th century, violence between the fan bases wasn't always an immediate problem as it has been in the last few decades. 1976, Portsmouth Port was opened, which was seen as a rival to Southampton Port. Ironically, in the same year, Southampton won their first FA Cup, shocking the footballing world as a Division 2 side, beating Division 1 Manchester United. The sole goal scored in the final was scored by Portsmouth-born Bobby Stokes. In 2005, Portsmouth's loss away at West Brom meant that Southampton's 27-year-long stay in England's top flight was ended, and it was the first time for 44 years that Portsmouth were in a higher league than their local neighbours. Across 70 meetings, Southampton have the edge over their neighbours with 34 wins against Portsmouth, with Portsmouth winning 21 of those 70 games. But it's been 15 years since the Saints last beat Pompey, a 2-1 win here at St Mary's 15 years ago. And of course, that means a win is definitely overdue. And when the Saints meet Portsmouth at Fratton Park on the 24th of September, being 2 leagues apart, there can only be one clear favourite. Of course, in these sort of games, form goes out the window. The fact that these two teams are 2 leagues apart won't be apparent on the night, I can assure you of that. The fans from both sides will be up for it. You'd expect the Portsmouth players to be up for it, so let's hope the Southampton players will also be up for it.